Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt like success is just this constantly moving target, well, this is exactly the blueprint you've been waiting for. Today, we're taking a 45-year-old multimillionaire's 60 rapid-fire life lessons and synthesizing them down into a focused, highly actionable roadmap just for you. We are literally taking decades of hard-earned wisdom and distilling it right here, right now. Let's get into it.
So, think about it. How often do you catch yourself just waiting for the stars to align? Okay, let's unpack a massive misconception right off the bat. The illusion of the perfect time. You know what I mean, right? Most people are perpetually waiting to get ready. They're waiting for the right mood, the right resources, or that one perfect moment. But the truth from our source material is really simple. You have to stop waiting for the perfect time, and instead start making the time right. You just have to make a decision and go for it.
Here's our roadmap for today. Step 1. Getting good, which means mastering your habits. Step 2. Getting rich by creating value. Step 3. Getting wise and curating your life. And finally, Step 4. The ultimate secret: execution.
It really helps to think of your life in 10-year increments. You dedicate your 20s to developing highly valuable skills. That's when you get good. Then, your 30s, that's dedicated to figuring out how to actually make money with those exact skills. That's when you get rich. And your 40s are when you use everything you've built to create your empire. That's when you get wise. It's all about dedicating yourself in decades to one single focus.
All right, jumping into section 1, getting good. Master your habits. Notice the absolutely stark contrast in mentalities here. Broke people, they tend to buy distractions, and they spend their energy gossiping about people who aren't even in the room. But rich people, they talk about ideas, creation, and possibility. And honestly, more importantly, they buy back their time. They will gladly pay for things like wash and fold laundry or meal prep just to avoid those mundane errands. Why? Because it completely frees up their minds to generate that next big idea.
Now, to support all those big ideas, you absolutely need an internal foundation. Self-esteem is not just some psychological buzzword, you guys. It is literally the reputation you have with yourself. Think about it. If you constantly make commitments to yourself and then fail to keep them, you heavily erode your self-worth. And if you have no self-worth, you are never going to have the strength to fight for the things you actually deserve in life.
Which brings us directly to your habits, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your habits. You've got to identify 3 to 5 daily habits that set you up for success. And get this, believe it or not, simply going to bed on time literally solves 80% of your problems. No joke. You also need to drop your vices: eating too much, drinking too much, mindlessly scrolling your phone. Those vices, they're like trying to hike Mount Everest with a backpack full of heavy rocks. Drop the rocks. Oh, and when someone asks how you're doing, reprogram your mind by loudly replying "freaking amazing," because your brain believes exactly what you repeatedly tell it.
Moving on to section 2, getting rich, creating value.
So, the very first step to creating real value is shifting your focus. Losers focus on winners. They constantly compare themselves to everybody else, looking for reasons why they aren't good enough and just making endless excuses. Winners, on the other hand, focus on winning. They know they are only competing against their past selves. If they take a shot and miss, they don't cry about it, right? They use that feedback to make calculated adjustments so their next shot is way better. So ask yourself, are you adjusting your shot or are you just complaining about the scoreboard? Sequencing equals success, and it really comes down to one single focus. If you chase 2 rabbits, you're going to catch absolutely none. You have to figure out what that one single domino is that will knock everything else down, and then you just must go all in on that one specific target.
And the reality of reaching those goals is actually kind of harsh. Success isn't some trophy you just put on a shelf and admire forever. No, it's rented. And guess what? The rent is due every single day. You have to pay your dues, you have to show up, and you must be consistent over long periods of time. Real success is all about consistency over short-term intensity. Like going to the gym for 14 days straight? Not that impressive. Being consistent for 6 solid months? Now that is where the magic happens.
To truly maximize the value you bring to the market, you really need to internalize these rules. First off, you aren't paid for your time, you're paid for the value you create in that time. If you can turn $1 million into $10 million in 30 minutes, you're getting paid for that magic trick, not the half hour it took you to do it. Because of that, your absolute best initial investment isn't in the stock market, it's in yourself to drastically increase your own value. Treat money as a tool, an energy source to improve your life, not just something to hoard under your mattress. And remember, money loves speed and decisiveness. Move fast and just fix things as you build.
All right, let's transition into Section 3, Getting Wise, Curating Your Life.
In your 20s, you'll naturally say yes to a ton of opportunities. You say yes until you can afford to say no. But eventually, to build your empire, you have to fiercely guard your boundaries. You are going to be faced with good opportunities that will absolutely distract you from the great ones. So if an opportunity doesn't make you instantly say hell yes, it has to be a hard no to preserve your space.
Now, this level of curation, it requires real confidence. And true confidence isn't about lacking humility or walking around thinking you're better than everyone else. Not at all. It's the unshakable certainty of knowing you keep your promises to yourself. True wisdom is learning to run your own race. It's becoming a person who can be totally ecstatic with a lot of success precisely because you've mastered the incredibly powerful skill of being entirely happy alone with nothing.
A truly wise person ruthlessly edits their inner circle. You have to teach people exactly how to treat you, and you gotta speak up immediately if they step over the line. Understand that some friends are really only there for a season, and you cannot let those temporary people leave permanent wounds on your life. Save your breath too. Never ever argue with someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, take all that energy and focus it on working your way into a friend group of 5 winners, because you will inevitably become the 6th.
Of course, doing this requires checking your ego at the door. I mean, sure, it feels great to be the top dog with all the answers, but if you are the smartest person in the room, you are absolutely in the wrong room. You need to dream so big that if you're sitting in a San Francisco coffee shop pitching mere million-dollar ideas, the billionaires literally get up and walk away from you. Dream bigger and execute way harder.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, The Ultimate Secret, Execution.
Weak people are always out there looking for the easiest path. They chase temporary pleasure, and eventually, they regress into that bitter person at the high school reunion just bragging about their old bench press records. Strong people, however, they chase purpose. They actively lean into doing the hard things, because that's how you expand and grow. They practice what's called regret minimization, acting today so they don't have to lie on their deathbed burdened by the crushing pain of what if.
Look, if you want an extraordinary life, you have to stop making ordinary choices. And the secret to sustaining that effort is this fulfillment framework. Erase your self-doubt simply by getting up and taking action. But here's the kicker. Don't just chase the end goal. Get completely obsessed with the process itself. Fall in love with the art of daily betterment and the person you are actually becoming along the way. When you finally disconnect your happiness from the absolute need to achieve a specific outcome, that is when you unlock true fulfillment.
The hard truth is this: a lack of resources isn't your problem. A lack of resourcefulness is. You literally do not need another book, another explainer, or another fancy strategy. You already know what you need to do. So my final question to you today is simply this: are you going to stay addicted to the shelf, just collecting information you never actually use? Or are you finally going to step into the arena and execute?